making a living on Star Wars shit takes, and
Oh,
that's not only frustrating. I mean, I'm not. People are like, you're just jealous because that guy's got 3 million subscribers. I'm not jealous. I'm pissed off, honestly, that he's using that platform, whoever the he is in this case, platform for just being negative. What does that do to a fandom? I mean, whether it's the wrestling fandom or the Star Trek fandom or the Star Wars fandom, what's the impact?
Well, I think it becomes a corrosive element of the fandom because the criticism is not inherently honest. Therefore, because once you create a toxic fan base, it must always be fed its red meat. And you must always find this red meat or they'll stop watching you. And if they stop watching you, they'll stop patronizing your sponsors. And if they stop patronizing your sponsors, you're not going to have a show anymore. And you're not going to have a fandom anymore. So to me, I think it's a devil's bargain that these people make with these decisions. And look, everyone's got a right to earn their money in America or wherever they're at. You got to get your bag. I get it. But by the same token, it doesn't mean you're excluded from criticism. And I've had them send their people after me. I've had them get upset when I told them to find their balls a few weeks ago about Charmin Obey-Chinoy. And they all tagged me in their shit. Then they got mad that I blocked them because I'm like, I don't want toxicity today. I don't want toxicity today. Because I could give a fuck. I really could give a fuck. Sell your calendars, sell all your shit and your merch. That's fine. Use me for the material because you need something to feed your rabid masses. Knock yourself out. But to me, at the end of the day, you're just allowing a lot of negative toxicity to course, not through the fandom, but through yourself. And I don't think that leads to a happy life in the long run, no matter how many people you surround yourself who are going to cackle and say mean shit all over, like themselves and and then just, support each other saying mean or laughing at people or whatever. And I've seen some people make the turn, and the people to me that I've seen make the turn because they want to make money. And it's a shame to see that. Certainly a high-pitched friend of mine who I saw make the turn has really surprised me because that guy used to beg for so many things and complain about so many things and in ways of wanting to be part of things. And now seeing him go the route that he went, it's a shame to see. But, that was the decision he made to make money. And I can't fault him for wanting to make money, but I will call out the toxicity that I see from so many of these people because they're not invested in making something better because if they were, they wouldn't constantly complain when certain things change. Like even if Star Wars was to make a decision to go in a certain direction, they'd have to have problems with Star Wars making that decision to go that direction. Even if it was the direction they told them to take. Well, they're just doing that now to appease us. And so it's just a constant state of anger and don't excuse my passion. Anger. I'm just passionate.
No, and I want to follow the thread you talked about, not being afraid to call somebody out. We've had this conversation. Pete and I have had it individually. Kyle Katarn was on with us a few weeks ago, and he said the same thing.
Love Kyle.
Kyle's great. And we've talked about this idea of sometimes when you call it out, somebody comes in and goes, but you're giving them a platform by calling them out. But the reality is you have an audience. Pete has a large audience. Kyle has a large audience. Like it almost feels like there is a responsibility to go, I have a larger voice. So I should say something. Where do you come down on that?
Oh, I think you should absolutely say something if you want to say something and if you can deal with the backlash. That's the thing. Like I've had a couple of YouTubers reach out to me on DMs after the Charmin Obey-Chinoy incident, and then they were like, how do you deal with this? And I'm like, this is the game. If you're going to speak out loud and you're going to be opinionated, you've got to expect a backlash, and you've got to be sure you can handle the backlash. It's not easy, which is why I said my piece with Charmin Obey-Chinoy stuff. And I will say my piece again down the road. I don't need to name them because they will find it. And so I don't need to name them. But I do think if people want to name them, I think they should and have every right to do so because they will name you if they feel like it. And you just have to be ready to handle the backlash. And I do think, though, I'll say this, guys, I do sense that it's changing. I sense that the wave now is pushing back on these crybaby anti-woke people, that the wave is pushing back farther and farther and pushing them away because people are kind of getting done and sick of toxicity. And they're leaving the anger behind and they just want to enjoy things again. And I think That's what we're seeing now recently. And I think they sense it too, which is why they're becoming crazier and crazier with some of their takes and angrier and angrier with some of their takes, because they see that their money is getting affected by the pushback, you know?
Right.